Hi, my name is Edmond. I am 40 years old. I am married with 2 young children and I am a registered mental health nurse. I currently work for a nursing agency working on various wards with both younger and older adults, and I also work in the community. I first developed SA, I believe, from the age of about 5 or 6. It was when my mother met this new man who is now my stepfather, and basically the abuse started from day one. As a very small child, I learned to keep my head down, stay out of trouble, to stay away from the stepfather. And I think as I grew up, going to school, I associated teachers and other adults, I believe on a subconscious basis, with my stepfather, and I learned to basically keep awake, keep my head down and not really speak to anybody. This really continued throughout my school life and then into my work life. Well, my first job, I was working in a factory unit, used to work on a lathe, and I remember one time when a fellow worker came over just to speak to me while I was working on the lathe, just to pass the time of day basically. And all of a sudden I could feel my face burning up, and my co-worker, he said, "What you gone red for?" And I just couldn't stand it. I just had to walk away. Luckily he knew how to work the lathe, so he turned the lathe off. And I was just walking away feeling like a total basket case basically, you know. I just couldn't take it. My head was burning. All I could think was how such sheer embarrassment. That was another time. Was when I used to work. It's the same place, but my lathe where I worked, it was by the office, and every time the phone rang, one of my duties was to answer the telephone. So talking on the telephone to other co-workers, it was just sheer anxiety provoking, to say the least. You know, my heart would race, my throat would tighten up, you know. I couldn't get the words out properly to speak to people down the telephone, and then I had to relay the message onto a foreman or somebody else, or the management. And then when I go to relay the message, I'd be there red-faced, you know, talking, trying to remember the message, and you know, I could feel like the managers and the foremen just looking at me as if I was a total idiot, you know. But anyway, that's just a couple of occasions. I remember going to university to train to be a mental health nurse, and part of the course is obviously to give presentations. Now, the anxiety of doing presentations when you suffer with SA, it can be overwhelming, you know. You're standing there, you can't present your information properly because all you're thinking about is people are looking at you and judging you, thinking, "Oh, look at this idiot, you don't even know what he's talking about, he can't get his words out properly, you know, he's not talking any sense," sort of thing. And all you're doing when you do this presentation is just like looking at people thinking, am I getting across to these people properly? Am I saying what I'm supposed to be saying? And do they think I'm an idiot? I'm sure they do, and stuff like, you know, it's a complete nightmare. So anyway, another part of the nurse training is you go on placements and you work on the wards. Now, one of the main jobs working on the ward is you have to receive and present the handover, which is, say I go to work and I'm going to be the nurse in charge. The previous shift, they have to hand over all the patients, what they've been doing during the day, their mental health status, their, you know, medications that they're on, any problems with any particular patient or things that need to be done. So you sit there, you write down, take all the information, and then you have to hand over all that information plus the information that's happened on your shift to the next person. next nurse that comes in on the following shift. And just the whole shift while I was at work, I just used to be dreading this handover meeting. Of course, when the time gets closer and closer, up to about 5 minutes before it's actually time to walk into the office and present your handover to the other nurse in charge and all the other nurses and care support workers, my heart used to be pumping that fast. It used to actually feel like it was going to burst out of my chest. The anxiety is just almost overwhelming, because you know you can't escape it. You have to do that meeting. You can't avoid it. It's an absolute living nightmare. But anyway, I remember when I used to do these handover meetings, I'd be sitting there, you know, really anxious, but the longer I did it, the easier it got. So when I'd done my first handover meeting, you know, I was really chuffed with myself. I thought, yes, great, I have finally conquered this social anxiety. But of course, next time, at the next meeting, same again, and it comes like as a total shock, because you're thinking to yourself, I've just done this before, I can do this, so why am I still getting all this anxiety? Of course, that's the reason why behaviour therapy doesn't work on its own, because that's the kind of behavioural therapy, you know, facing the anxiety-provoking event, going through with it, i.e. the handover, it doesn't work. That behaviour therapy on its own will not work. That's why you need other interventions, which are luckily outlined in my manual, and we will go through these interventions on this DVD.